Hi there, Jackie Flynn here. I'm excited today to share with you three things that every child therapist needs to know about the kid's developing nervous system. When we know about the developing nervous system of a child in our play therapy space, in our child therapy space, we can make some changes that can make a world of difference. So, I see all the people in the chat. If you'd like, just go ahead in the chat, just put where you're from. I'd love to see who's joining us. Just love our play therapy community, and I love to connect with people around. Okay, so let's get started. This presentation is super influenced by my learnings of the polyvagal theory. Dr. Stephen Porges, he created the polyvagal theory, and it has been a game changer. And Deb Dana's work is just amazing. I've learned a lot from reading her books and watching her videos. She's incredible. She's taking this, what kind of seems complex to me, and really kind of put it into our therapist language to where we can understand and apply. So, this is looking at it through the lens of play therapy. And I'm a safe and sound protocol provider. That's through Unite, and that's also a polyvagal theory. It's a listening program that I use in my work with my clients, and I've seen a world of difference. It really creates that felt sense of safety in the nervous system. Okay, let's start off with the first one. Get curious about the child's safety in three ways: in their body, in their relationships, and in their environment. When we first meet with a kid and we do an intake with the parents and we gather in all of this information, we want to really get curious about what are the cues of safety and the cues of danger in their body. Is there a medical history? Are there things medical, physiological related that we need to know, because that sense of safety, it's all intertwined. So in the relationships, what does the relationships entail? What do the relationships entail, and what are some cues of safety and cues of danger in there? It could be the relationships in so many different areas of their lives. And then in their environment, many of the kids that we work with, they go to school, they go home, they may be involved in extracurricular activities, they may spend time in other areas. What are some cues of safety and cues of danger there? That's going to really influence our work to be able to help to not only through our parent consultation and our work with the child, add more cues of safety, but remove as many cues of danger as possible, or reduce. What we know is it's not enough to just remove the cues of danger. If there's cues of danger, removing them and adding as many cues of safety, and we're going to talk about how to do that. It's so super cool. We could do that through play and through just a relationship with the child. So also, we want to just really keep in mind that it's important to think about behavior in a different way. I think there's this old school thought of behavior's intentional. They just need to know better. And if they know better and there's enough of like a punishment afterwards, then they will know not to do it again. But what really is underlying in the nervous system is behavior. Let's start thinking of it as an adaptation to what's going on. Behavior is really influenced by the child's feeling of safety. And when our brain and our body, our nervous system is in a state of threat, we can't access parts of our brain. So to expect a child to retrieve these coping skills or these higher level thinking capacities, it just isn't there. Dr. Porges coined this term neuroreception, that felt sense. We communicate through our body. So that is like number two. Focus on safety and connection in our work. When we do that, when we truly focus on safety and connection in our child therapy work, long before any techniques or any tips or do this or do that, just a way of being, and create an environment that is just filled with cues of safety and removal of cues of threat, it can make a huge, huge difference. And we can do that through play. Play has a beautiful way of allowing us to be in two states of our nervous system at the same time. It allows this connectedness and the safety, but also this capacity to take risks that we normally wouldn't take, to put ourselves in states of vulnerability and trust. It is so beautiful. So, really knowing the power of play. If you haven't heard of play therapy or not sure of the specifics, definitely check out the Association for Play Therapy. There's a great article on there on the therapeutic powers of play, and of course, there's books on it. And play is amazing. Dr. Stephen Porges tells us about how play is defined through the polyvagal theory as an interaction. It's not the one like the child is playing by themselves. It's more of that togetherness, that connectedness, that reciprocity, the my turn, your turn, my turn. It creates a sense of trust, and I'm not alone in this. And another thing that's really important to create that sense of safety and connection is familiarity and also predictability. When we know what's coming up or when we have an idea of what's coming up, it feels safer because we're familiar with it and we can kind of predict what's going to happen. We know what's going to come up. So, creating the sense of safety and connection in our child therapy work could include like scheduling the child's appointment maybe on the same day every week around the same time. So there's this familiar, okay, I go after school and I get a snack before, then I go see Miss Jackie, then we go home, and then I go to soccer practice. Whatever it is, it gives kind of that rhythm, that predictable vibe in the child's life. Play is definitely a great type of therapy to be able to work with all ages, not just children, because play allows us to connect in ways that's like a whole body experience. What the polyvagal theory tells us is that our our autonomic nervous system communicates bidirectionally. So like 80% from our body and 20% from our brain. So if we just rely on talking, we're missing out on a huge source of communication. And what also the polyvagal theory, it is a theory. So I think it fits nicely into everything that we have. But one thing that we need to know is we communicate way beyond just our words. Our intonation of voice, our body gestures, our facial expression, our leaning in, that space in between the words, all of that, even with with the vagus nerve, it starts up here and then kind of goes all through our body and connects around our organs, and then there's sense of like tightening and loosening. So doing a body scan can be really helpful, and we're going to look at a body scan, a kid-friendly body scan that I've done, because in the beginning of my work I would ask the kids, scan your body, all this like adult type lingo. Scan your body, notice any tight, any tense, any unusual sensations, and they'd be looking at me like, what did she say? And if they even responded at all. So I have a kid-friendly body scan. I just had one for the longest time in one of my consultees, and also now a dear friend, Deb McManus. She's like, you only have the body scan of the sympathetic state. What about dorsal state and ventral state? And I was like, oh my goodness, you're right. So I've created I call it a polyvagal inspired body scan. I'm going to give it out as part of the play therapy summit that Pessy's putting on. That's my dog back there. Animals are great for the polyvagal theory too. But this body scan it works. I've been using it. I've been using the other one longer. This one is relatively new, so you probably haven't seen it, and you may not have access to it. It's definitely coming out with the summit. The summit, I'm going to talk about the practical play therapy applications of the polyvagal theory. So we're going to go way more into depth and talk about how what we can actually do in the therapy space, what play therapy techniques, and just being able to design our play therapy spaces, our child therapy spaces, our interactions between the parents, all kinds of stuff like that. Okay, so the third one is know the three states of the autonomic nervous system. I know we go to all of these trainings. We have all these books, like stacks and stacks and stacks of books, and we read them, we listen to them on Audible. Sometimes it's like I have to listen to them a little bit at a faster speed so I can get more in. We have all these interventions and everything. And then we get in session with these clients that have experienced complex trauma, and none of it seems to be working. And it's like, oh my goodness, what can I do? I've done everything I can, and this child is still in emotional pain. This family system is in emotional pain. That's why I ended up getting trained in the safe and sound protocol, because I realized that when we're working with especially traumatized clients, regardless of age, but especially with children, we can't rely on our words. We can't rely on just kind of what the basic level. We need to do everything we can to create as many cues of safety and remove as many cues of threat as possible. So the three states of the nervous system. There's three of them, and they're kind of complex words. So ventral vagal, I think of that as the green state, and then we have the sympathetic, the red state, and that's like that fight or flight. Oh, thank you so much. There it is. And then we have the dorsal vagal. That's like the shutdown state. Okay, I think one common mistake that we make as therapists, and I know I'm included on this. So I thought of anything but green as bad. We need to eradicate any anxiety. We need to eradicate any sense of shutdown or disconnect. But what polyvagal theory teaches us to do, and I can feel this in my body, to respect, to honor all three states of the nervous system, because they serve a function. So that ventral vagal, as shown in the green, that's where we're connected, socially engaged, focused, coherent, flexible, alert, energized, and aware. That's where we are functioning at our best. When I say best, that's even like a judgment word. That's where we're functioning, kind of where we feel good, right? So then there's that sympathetic state, that fight or flight, that state of alert. I'm irritated, I'm enraged, I'm aggressive, clingy, worried, fearful, concerned, or unsettled. And I put that really close, almost overlapping to the ventral vagal state, because I know many of the clients that come in to see me that are in this state, they are clung to their parents' legs, especially if they're little. So we do some of these play therapy. I love just the reciprocity, games of reciprocity is the way I refer to them, that back and forth, whether it's Jenga, Connect Four with the little ones, we play ball back and forth, just a really connected activity that's not relying on them to say or do anything or to be any different than how they are, just showing up and honoring that it's okay to be who you are right now at this moment in time. So that's that one. But then there's this darker one. That's the dorsal, the most primal state. And what I do, and I learned this from one of the videos that Deb Dana has out there, where she's talking to a teacher. She urges, especially like us as child therapists, to have or educators, to have the kids rename it something that's meaningful to them. So a lot of times they'll say, "Oh, that's my fun zone," and which I wouldn't call the green state fun zone for me, but for the kid, that's what matters. That's what they define it as. So we honored that. Or like the red zone, that's my in hard. So it's hard zone is what some of them say, or something, a variant of that. But that dorsal vagal, that's our most primal one, and our clients that come in that state, there's a heaviness, there's a shutdown, there's a disconnect. A lot of times we may hear words as child therapists. I know I worked a lot with parents as a school counselor, professional school counselor for years. I think schools, work in schools, therapeutic work, it's fascinating. It's at the front line to our children's mental health. Many kids that if they didn't get the mental health support in their in school, they wouldn't get it at all. So I think this information needs to make its way out to educators in a big way, because I know as an educator and as a school counselor, I didn't necessarily have it. But you hear words in these meetings like, my kid is lazy. My kid is unmotivated. They're just shut down. They don't care. Well, that's just other ways of describing that dorsal vagal, and it is an adaptive state. It serves a purpose. It's that being able to. We even think about it. Okay, you can pull away from the body scan now, Rachel. When we think about the kids that come with shutdown, they are disconnected. I think of it as like that metaphorical flipping a breaker. I don't know if you've ever like plugged in your coffee pot in like a hot plate on the same one, and then it's like, oh, none of them are working. My coffee pot's not working, my hot plate's not working, my electricity's off, and it's like, oh, this is the only breaker that's not working. So in that metaphor, it's like, hey, all the other kids are doing it. Why aren't you doing it? All your brothers and sisters are doing it. What's wrong? What's wrong with you? And really, it's the nervous system's just beautiful way of being able to say enough is enough. I'm going to shut down so I can survive through this. So when we know those three states of the autonomic nervous system, we know their functions, then we can help through safety and connection and those beautiful play therapy techniques that we're going to talk about in the Play Therapy Summit. We can really influence like how a child can heal in ways that otherwise isn't accessible to it. It's all about being able to feel safe enough to engage with another. So a lot of times terms of like, oh, they're just antisocial, or they don't want to play with others, or they're choosing to do that. And sometimes it's not necessarily a cognitive choice. This neuroception, the term that Dr. Porges coined. I'm getting distracted by the wonderful comments. Thanks for all your nice words there. The neuroception of safety, that felt sense of safety in the body, that bypasses thinking. That's not something that we really think, okay, right now I'm going to have a panic attack. I know every year, without fail, I get a handful of clients that are transitioning from middle school to high school, and they have like this numbness in their legs, or they have their heart's beating out of their chest. They feel like they're going to have a heart attack, and they're like 14 years old or 15 years old, or they throw up, or they incessantly keep going to the bathroom. They have all of these physiological responses. They're not thinking, oh, I don't want to go to school, so I'm going to make my body numb, and I'm going to make it to where I throw up, and I'm going to make it to where I pass out. That's not happening. It is an adaptation. It is that dorsal vagal shutdown. And when we can see it for what it is, we can look underlying, what do they need? What are some cues of safety? What are some cues of threat? How can we support that as child therapists? Well, I could go on and on. Literally, I was telling the lady at the grocery store about this the other day. But we are going to have more information at the summit, the Play Therapy Summit, and then you'll get the body scan too that you can use in your work. On the other side of the body scan, hey Rachel, can you pull that up one more time and show page 2? There's on the second page of that, there's a body, kind of like a shape to where they can draw in their own that looks just like those right there, and they can color it in. And that movement can actually kind of start we don't have page 2, but I'll just describe it to you verbally. See that shape of the body? There's a blank one. So you can have the child mindfully just color in that shape, their felt sense, and throughout the therapy. And I'm also an EMDR therapist. I love EMDR with kids. You can integrate play therapy techniques into it so beautifully. Actually, not just techniques, play therapy in general. Okay, so Rachel, you can pull it down. One final point I want to say is that we want to kind of pull back on being directive and just lean into being human. All right, so just a little recap. Number 1, get curious about the child's safety and their body and their environment and their relationship. Number 2, focus on safety and connection first. And you can do that through play. I love non-directive play. Just play, play, play. It allows that beautiful kind of expansion of their tolerance to be able to move into different states and connect and socially engage. And we can do that through reciprocity, familiarity, that predictability, back and forth, that we call it co-regulation, where we're together in it. And because, okay, so real quick, I just got to say this. One thing that we need to really keep in mind is that we are born into this world needing each other. So to expect a child to self-regulate before they have had that experience, that felt sense of connection to co-regulate, we're setting ourselves up and them up for failure. So co-regulation, that togetherness, that connectedness. I love Dr. Siegel's book, The Neurobiology of We. That connectedness, that co-regulation, and it's so beautifully, it's in the principles of the polyvagal theory that Dr. Porges so beautifully brought to us. And the third point is know the three states of the autonomic nervous system. Know them and love them. See them for what they're doing. And when you can respect them and honor them and provide the cues of safety and remove the cues of threat through your child therapy space, it could be as simple as, really making sure that you have like fluffy pillows, and you have maybe some food if they're hungry, after that felt sense of safety in their body, how you schedule, have everything kind of tidy and organized. Oh, there's so many things. And playful breathing. There's too much to go into here. But thank you so much. Again, I'm Jackie Flynn. I'm a registered play therapist, and I'm the presenter of practical play therapy applications of the polyvagal theory for PESI's Play Therapy Summit. Had to slow down saying that. That's a mouthful. I hope you enjoyed this, and I look forward to seeing you at the summit if you're coming to it. All right.